Hello, everyone. Hello. This is Alexandra Levine with Alexandra Levine Live. We are all in tonight with Alexandra Levine. Well, President Trump has had a very interesting and a very, very great week. Oh my gosh, he has done such wonderful things for this country that the people never thought that he was going to do. And we're going to put up the first slide. POTUS. We're going to do something that has never been done in this country before. If you buy a car in the United States that's made in the United States, we're going to let you deduct the interest payment for income tax. That is amazing. I can tell you that I have American-made cars. I drive Lincolns. They're all made in the USA. And this is a phenomenal, phenomenal thing that President Trump is doing. And as you know, Tesla cars, they're made in the United States as well. They're made in Texas. As you know, Elon Musk moved his factory from California to Texas because the taxes in Texas were just astronomical. So if you have an American-made car, thanks to President Trump, he's going to lower that tax for you. And that's what President Trump is all about. Promises made, promises kept. Now we have breaking. President Trump has ordered that several historical monuments, and that's the second slide we'll put up. Again, President Trump has ordered that several historical monuments and statues across the nation be restored after many were removed during the Biden administration. If you all remember, in July of 2020, President Trump put into executive order that anyone that defamed or defiled a statue, or if they burnt down an American flag, they get 10 years in federal prison. Well, guess what happens? In May of 2021, Biden and Kamala Harris, they revoked that executive order. So when Prime Minister Netanyahu, when he came to speak for the fifth time in the halls of Congress, you saw American flags going down, being burnt to the ground, and then Palestinian flags being lifted up. You saw the Liberty Bell being completely vandalized with pro-Hamas crap on it, and also very monumental statues being decimated by pro-Hamas people, and there was no repercussions. Well, guess what? Now President Trump is saying, nope, I'm reinstating that executive order back, and anybody that desecrates an American flag, anybody that desecrates a Confederate statue, or tries to take down a Confederate statue, or tries to take down any famous or historical statue, guess what? They're going to jail, 10 years federal prison. And regardless if you supported the Confederacy, if you liked Robert E. Lee, if you didn't like Robert E. Lee, we had a war, we had a civil war, North versus South, the statues are still historic. You do not take down Andrew Jackson. You do not take down Theodore Roosevelt. You do not take down Stonewall Jackson and desecrate it. You don't take down the head of Christopher Columbus. That happened in Baltimore Harbor. I saw it on live TV. I was like, these people need to go swim back in and pull the head of Christopher Columbus back up. I kept saying, what did Christopher Columbus ever do to these people? But that's what happened. That's what happened for years, is that all these crazy people, these BLM people, these pro-Hamas people were tearing down historic statues and historic monuments. And guess what? The president and everyone else in this country have hashtag had enough. And now we also have the third slide, breaking. Failed VP Vice Presidential candidate Tim Walz, the crazy governor from Minnesota, suggests Democrats lost big in 2024 because they were not bold enough in advocating for progressive policies like DEI. He said, quote, we got to get ourselves in the mess because we got ourselves in this mess because we weren't bold enough to say, quote, you're damn right, we're proud of, and blah, 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 DEI. Let me tell you something. DEI is dead. President Trump signed into an executive order to get rid of all the DEI hires. If you had a pronoun next to your name, they, them, he, she, and you worked in the federal government, you were automatically fired. And I've said this story many times. When I go into Sephora and Ulta stores, I see people wear a he, she, they, them pronoun. And if God forbid you call them by the wrong pronoun, they don't talk to you, they don't want to help you, and they turn on you and they curse you out behind closed doors. It's disgusting. hiring should be based on merit, not the color of your skin. I can tell you that as a professional opera singer, I lost a lot of jobs because of DEI and the woke culture in the opera industry. Thank God that President Trump is the new chairman of the Kennedy Center with Rick Grenell as the executive director, because President Trump said we want musicals back. We want operas back. We want people with merit, people that have been singing for years, that were trained. I was trained. I'm a trained professional opera singer. I was trained by the best. I was trained by the people at Juilliard. I was trained by the people at Manhattan School of Music, Mannes College of Music. I've sung all over the country and the world. And for all of a sudden, my profession to be cut in half because of DEI hires, because of the woke culture, a lot of it was from the vaccines, and we'll get to that later. It hurt me as an artist, and I had to go into a different profession. And people ask me, why don't you do opera anymore? Why don't you do opera like you used to? Why did you go from being an opera singer to being a political consultant? Well, because of Barack Hussein Obama, because of Joe Biden, because of Kamala Harris, because of the Tim Waltzes of the world. Let me tell you something. Everything that turns woke turns to crap. And President Trump has said that, and he's 100% right on that. It's disgusting. It's disgusting that is what our country was reduced to under the Biden administration. President Trump said we've had enough of DEI hires. In Maryland, I bring up Maryland a lot. We have a lot of people that are part of this program that are from Maryland, that currently live in Maryland. They have a DEI elected governor, a DEI elected attorney general, a DEI elected mayor, Brandon Scott in Baltimore City. Mayor Brandon Scott and Governor Wes Moore, they call themselves DEI leaders. They pride themselves in DEI. The lieutenant governor, Aruna Miller, is a DEI elected lieutenant governor. And what did Governor Wes Moore do? He hired a bunch of DEI people around him, people of different races, religions, and creeds, just because of their race, religion, and creed. And let me tell you something. Here is a breaking story as well. So as I told you, we'll get to that later. Thank you. We'll bring that up after this. But this is another breaking story that happened to me personally. As I told you, I shop sometimes at Sephora, Ulta, Macy's, Nordstrom's, Bloomingdale's, department stores. I was at the Ulta in Annapolis. I literally saw in real time. I witnessed a robbery. There was 3 African-American men with sledgehammers that came in, and they literally broke the glass of all the fragrances in the middle of the store. They just started breaking glass, and they started robbing all pretty much the majority of the fragrances, mostly the expensive ones, for 10 minutes before the police arrived. There was people in the store. They took pictures of the delinquents. They took a picture of the car that they were driving with the license plate. Now, we found out later that that car was a stolen car with a fake license plate. And we found out later that the police did not find these vigilantes. But I did also find out that these vigilantes have been hitting up Ulta stores, Sephora stores, and malls for months now. Not just for weeks, for months. And for some reason, the police haven't been able to find them. Of course, Governor Wes Moore hasn't made a comment about them. But guess what? I found out today that 3 out of the 5 vigilantes were arrested. And they're in jail now in Maryland. The question is, how long are they going to stay in jail? Remember, they're African-American. We have an African-American governor, African-American attorney general, African-American city mayor, and we have a DEI hire. She calls herself a woman of color, Lieutenant Governor Aruna Miller in Maryland. But they said, based on the level of theft, based on how much these vigilantes stole, they're going to be staying in jail for a while. I found out they stole $200,000 worth of merchandise. $200,000. How did it get that far? Who the hell allows somebody to steal $200,000 worth of fragrances? Now, the Ulta policy does not allow the security or the employees or anybody that's there to stop these vigilantes from stealing. You can't stop them at the door. You can't put handcuffs on them. You can't do anything. You have to allow them to steal, and then you call the police, and of course the police come after the fact. It's disgusting. And that's why these Ulta stores keep getting hit up. Nordstrom's keeps getting hit up. Macy's, Towson's Mall keeps getting hit up because of these policies. Now, Sephora is different. Sephora will stop you at the door. Sephora will arrest you. Sephora will make you empty out your pockets to show that you stole. So why can't every single store have that policy? And then if you are a security guard at Ulta and you do beat down the vigilante, or you try to defend yourself, or you try to handcuff the person, the security guard gets fired. I found out today. The security guard gets fired for doing his job. The security guard gets fired for defending himself and also for trying to save the lives of the clients that are in the store. I'll tell you, I was in fear of my life. I don't know if those vigilantes, if they had a gun on them, if they had a knife on them, but God knows they could have been on drugs and they could have done something really heinous. I had to hide in the back of the store with a club in front of the door to make sure that they wouldn't come in. Now, let's say they broke through the door. I had nothing to defend myself with. I didn't have a weapon on me. And they would have beat me to a pulp. They would have killed me. That would have been okay. But again, the question is, how long are these vigilantes going to be in jail? I did find out that after they serve time in Maryland, they will be extradited to Virginia because apparently they stole in Virginia too. They've been hitting up all the stores. But this took months and 2 are still on the run. 2 are still on the run. Disgusting. Their pictures are everywhere. People have been posting their pictures on Facebook. They were found in Anne Arundel County near Annapolis. I think that's where these vigilantes reside because, again, I was in Annapolis when it happened. But this is what happens when you have DEI people working in power. And you hire DEI people. And you hire based on race, religion, and creed and not based on merit. It's disgusting. And President Trump has hashtag had enough. He's hashtag had enough of this crap. There's a law firm that is working with President Trump's administration pro bono. I think it's called the SWATkin team or the Slotfin team LLP. They're working pro bono to help veterans, to assist veterans, and to combat anti-Semitism. President Trump put in that retruth that they are hiring people based on merit. They are hiring. But they are doing things to help we the people. And they're going to be working in tandem with the Trump White House and with the Trump law firm and the White House counsel, etc. But again, it was very interesting what President Trump said. He said this specific law firm is hiring based on merit. Meaning if you've done an internship, if you have a law degree, if you're in the middle of law school, if you worked with a law firm, if you have a law background, if you have a background such as myself working in combating anti-Semitism, or if you have a background, again, such as myself, assisting veterans, you can get a job with them. But they're looking for specific people that do the job and do the job right. And I can tell you, President Trump does like hiring highly educated people, people that have gone to Ivy League schools, people that have gone and gotten their master's degrees or PhDs with honors. He likes college educated people. He likes people that are very highly educated. That's why he picked Pete Hegseth and Pam Bondi and Marco Rubio and Tulsi Gabbard and Kristi Noem, etc. And Caroline Leavitt is heavily educated too. That's why she's so smart. You know, people are like, God, she's only 27 years old. White House press secretary. She's like sharp as a whip. She's very smart. Look at what her degree's in. Look what university she went to. And some people, they go to, you know, I would say like A or B or C law schools, but they graduate with flying colors. They graduate with flying colors and they go on to be the best of the best. I've always said you don't have to go to the best law school. You don't have to go to Harvard Law School or Yale Law School or MIT Law School to be the best of the best. I know a lot of people that have gone to second or third tier law schools or second or third tier medical schools, and they come out on top and they make more money than people that went to Harvard Law School. And they're actually better attorneys, better doctors, better financial advisors. I know a lot of people that have graduated from vocational school. They end up making a lot more money than lawyers and doctors, and they work for 20 to 30 to 40 years. But again, anybody that combats President Trump on the DEI garbage, anybody like Governor Wes Moore, Anthony Brown, Mayor of Baltimore City, Brandon Scott, if you keep blocking the Trump administration, you are going to go to jail yourself and your state's going to get sued. As I've said many times, I have reached out to Attorney General Pam Bondi and her team to personally sue the state of Maryland, to charge Governor Wes Moore, to charge Attorney General Anthony Brown, to charge Baltimore City Mayor Brandon Scott and others. There's 18 attorney generals that are suing the Trump administration. They're combating him on the illegal immigration. They're combating him on the DEI. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. The judge that's combating Trump against deporting or getting rid of illegal criminals, He's compromised. His daughter has done such illegal activity. And I think I read that his daughter collected US aid for garbage, and she gave US aid to celebrities. That's where our taxpayer dollars are going to, a bunch of multimillionaire celebrities. A lot of pay to play still going on. Why do you have these Obama holdover activist judges that are controlling the power of the purse? It shouldn't be that way. A judge is supposed to be nonpartisan. I worked on a judge race in Baltimore County. My very good friend, Rob Daniels, he should have won. He's a great attorney, smart man. And he was going up against 3 incumbents. 2 out of the 3 were DEI hires. Actually, I would say all of them were DEI hires because the third one has cerebral palsy. One of them was compromised because they worked with former Attorney General Marilyn Mosby and her ex-husband, Nick Mosby. The other one was almost charged with a crime. I mean, these are the type of judges that we have. But they didn't pick Rob Daniels. They didn't want Rob Daniels to be a judge because he was white, because he is white. There was a Republican state senator, or Rhino, I will not say his name, that wrote an email endorsing the 3 incumbent judges, stating that we shouldn't have a lot of white judges. It's great that we have a diverse set of judges, that we have 2 black judges. He liked the fact that we had DEI hired judges. That same Rhino Senate Republican, this is in Maryland, by the way, is trying to push an amendment or a bill stating that we, the people, don't decide who the judges are. So we, the people, won't have a vote or a say who becomes a judge in Baltimore County or anywhere in Maryland, that they are appointed. Sounds more like DEI appointees to me. I question that state senator. I question his motives. That same state senator, this Rhino Republican state senator, attacked President Trump on his character, called President Trump a narcissist. I was at a meeting and I was with his deputy chief of staff. And I said, does your boss still feel the same way about President Trump? He says, yes, he does. He says, I don't agree with what he says. You know, to me, it's just a paycheck. And I've asked him not to diss President Trump, but he doesn't see eye to eye with him. And I told this young kid who's 28 years old, I said, your political career is going to be ruined if you continue to work with somebody that combats President Trump. If you do not believe in those principles, if you do not believe in what your boss says, you need to get away from him. Now, according to his boss is retiring. He's not running for re-election, but I feel that his boss is going to run for something, probably a higher office, and just not tell anyone to the last minute, to the last second. But again, it's these Rhino Republicans that are detriments to our nation and the progressive Democrats. And for Tim Walz to say that because we didn't embrace progressivism and socialism and DEI, that's why they lost. No, they lost because their message sucks. They lost because they suck. They lost because Governor Tim Walz is a crazy and so is his wife. The governor literally implemented into an executive order that 3-year-olds, young kids, can decide whether they want to change their gender without parental consent. He believes in gender reaffirming surgery for minors. Sick mofo. He and his wife watched the state of Minnesota, the city of Minneapolis, burnt to the ground. Didn't say anything because of George Floyd. His crazy wife went on TV and said, I put down the window of my home and smelled the ashes of what was burning outside, but didn't do anything. Did she enjoy smelling the ashes? Did she get off on them? A lot of people compare that to the Holocaust, where the Nazis' wives, the Nazi soldiers' wives, the Nazi commanders' wives would smell the ashes of the Jews. It's asinine, disgusting. And the fact that Tim Walz's family, the majority of them, all endorsed President Trump, that tells you something. It tells you how nutty Tim Walz is. Tampon Tim, they call him. Putting tampons in the boys' bathroom. Embracing transgenderism, which is less than 1% of the country. Embracing gender reaffirming surgery for minors. The people voted against that. We, the people, voted against that. We don't want it. We didn't want it then. We don't want it now. We gave the president and everyone who got elected a mandate to do for we the people, to get us out of this inflation, to bring back jobs back to this country, to get rid of these criminal illegals and get rid of the DEIs and the woke culture, get them out of our nation, and to stop the wars and to fix our infrastructure. Make sure that the Trump tax cuts are expanded after December 2025. That is what we voted for. We voted for people to get married and have kids. That's what we voted for. We voted for a better life. We voted for people to get paid and get jobs based on merit, not based on the color of your skin. We voted against segregation and against division. The Democrat Party is a party of division and strife and segregation and racism. There's a lot of racists in the Democrat Party. There's a lot of anti-Semites in the Democrat Party. You have a socialist group called the Squad. They are very dangerous people that are in that movement. They should all be removed from Congress. Anybody that combats President Trump should be removed from Congress. You have a bunch of DEI elected congressmen and women that should be removed from Congress permanently. We shouldn't have to wait 2 years for them to be voted out or 6 years for them to be voted out. They should just be automatically removed. Censuring them does nothing. Removing them from a committee does help. But we have to make sure that they are still not walking the halls of Congress freely. There should be consequences for their actions. They're elected officials. They represent us, but they also forget that they work for us. We don't work for them. Jasmine Crockett forgets that. Bernie Sanders forgets that. Or they don't forget, they just don't give a damn. Johnny Olszewski doesn't realize this. Johnny Olszewski is a puppet. He's a congressman, a new congressman in the state of Maryland, in the new CD2. Senator Chris Van Hollen, he just says whatever his donors tell him to say. He's an anti-Semite because he gets funded by anti-Semites. J Street is an anti-Semitic group. And he's involved with CARE and Jewish Voices for Peace, which we'll get into later in the show. But if we, the people, and I've said this before, if we don't stand up for what we believe in, our principles, our hardcore beliefs, all is lost. If you know that people are going against President Trump's agenda, call them out, report them. I send so much stuff to Thomas Homan and Kristi Noem and Pete Hegseth and Marco Rubio all the time. And they look at it, they read it. I put it on every single social media outlet I can find. Any social media outlet that I'm a part of, and I ask my friends and family to share it too, and they do. Haven't you hashtag had enough of the BS? Haven't you hashtag had enough of woke culture and DEI hires stealing your jobs, taking from you what you know you should have that job, but they're taking that job away from you? You shouldn't allow it. We should not allow it. I'm not going to allow any woke DEI moron to take my opera jobs away from me or take my acting positions away from me. I worked damn hard to have the voice that I have today. I went to some of the best institutions and I worked with the best teachers so I can be trained. I didn't just wake up and say, oh, I think I'm going to sing opera today. It is a God-given talent, but you have to work every day to perfect that talent. And let me tell you, I work every single day to perfect my talent, just like I'm working every day here on this show, just like I worked to get into the White House. I got into the White House based on merit. I got on that stage based on merit, and I will be on that stage again. But I'm not going to allow DEI or woke culture to stop me from getting back on that stage. And President Trump is not going to allow DEI and woke culture to hurt the right people that need to progress in this world to be successful. Speaking of President Trump, now we'll go to the last slide. Bo Loudon wrote, breaking, the video of President Trump is going viral due to amount of weight he appears to have lost and his youthful appearance. So the video is actually showing President Trump just walking into the White House. I can tell you President Trump has lost at least 40 to 50 pounds. He started losing weight on the campaign trail. I know for a fact he's cut back on a lot of food. He got a new chef at Mar-a-Lago. And I'm I mean, I haven't been in the White House yet with the chefs there, but I'm sure he picked his chefs. I'm sure he picks his menu, and he's probably watching what he's eating. And maybe the doctors have told him, you need to, kind of cut down the calories a little bit. And, I noticed myself, and I've lost 25 pounds. I think I told you guys I went on the RFK Junior diet. I have about 10 more to go. And I actually lost a lot of weight during COVID because I was actually on a diet plan before COVID. I had already lost about 20 pounds, and then COVID hit, and I was like, well, I could, start eating potato chips and donuts and cookies and gain it all back, because a lot of the people were doing that because we couldn't afford nutritious food. Or I could just continue on the diet path that I was on, and just I could still buy vegetables and buy stuff within a budget, because I kept a very strict budget during COVID. So that's what I did. I just ate more salads, I ate more vegetables, more fruit, and I ended up losing 45 pounds altogether. But I noticed after COVID, I could go back into the grocery store, I could go back into restaurants. I started eating more again. I don't really drink. I drink once in a blue moon. I drink maybe 3 times a year. But alcohol is very sugary, and and it has a lot of carbs. And if you're not exercising all day and you're just like eating all day, and you're going out and eating 9 o'clock at night with your friends, and you're not getting out till 11:30, you can pack on the pounds. So when RFK Jr., before he became HHS secretary, I started really listening, and also to Dr. Robert Malone, about what to eat. And there's a lot of chemicals in our water. There's a lot of chemicals in our food. And I really started to look at the dyes and the chemicals that are in our food, like in potato chips, in soda. I used to drink soda all the time. And even in our tap water. I mean, in Baltimore City, for example, there was E. coli poisoning in the tap water. In Baltimore County, you have Back River, which has a lot of chemicals in Back River. The tap water there is not necessarily great. Montgomery County, unless you're living on well water, the water is really not that great either. And the water is very harsh in Maryland. The water is very harsh in Florida as well. And they used to say New York City has the best tap water. I wouldn't say that. There's a lot of pollutants in the tap water. So I stopped drinking tap water. And it also helps my digestive system too. So I drink water with electrolytes and alkaline, bottled waters, but just it has to have electrolytes and alkaline in it. And I do drink Gatorade for dehydration purposes, to reduce my dehydration, because I do get dehydrated a lot, and sometimes I get headaches. So I drink like Gator Light, which has like absolutely nothing in it. It's low calorie, no sugar, no carbs. It's all electrolytes, which also gives your body energy as well. And I started losing the weight. And then I started taking multivitamins and taking zinc and taking just lots of vitamins that really help reduce the weight, but they're natural vitamins. I don't take stimulants. Stimulants are the worst for you. They can speed up your heart. They can cause a lot of problems and damage down the road. Stay away from things with niacin in it. Niacin can really speed up your heart. Stay away from things with squalene in it, snail oil. That's very bad for the organs. You just have to really read and do your research. But I drink a lot of green tea, ginseng, stuff that actually stimulates the brain, and L-arginine, that's very good for the body as well. You just have to really research the amino acids and the proteins that you should put in your body to keep your body strong and to keep your mind strong. And by doing that, the pounds have just shed. I do still believe that you work out. RFK Jr. works out. You don't have to work out like a bodybuilder, but you should always keep yourself activated and active all the time. My sister has 3 children. You would never know. Her body looks great. She's constantly moving. She's constantly on a bike. She's constantly on a treadmill. She's constantly doing something. If you can get a mini treadmill in your house or a mini bike, there was a machine at CPAC where you literally step on it. I have it. You step on it and it instantly vibrates your entire body. You get instantly firm in like 15 minutes from stepping on this machine. Our producer, Damon Sherrod, has that machine. It's a phenomenal machine, and you feel your muscles start to tighten, and everything is like simulated to tighten and to strengthen your core. And also do weights. It's really good to do weights. The trick is you don't want to do weights and cardio on the same day. You have to do a regimen. So one day you do weights, the next day you do cardio. And you don't have to do an hour of cardio every time you go to the gym. That defeats the purpose again. So you start with a regimen for yourself. If you want to get a personal trainer, that's fine. I have a personal trainer. My mother has a personal trainer. Depends on, your situation. Depends on, how much the personal trainers are. Some cost a little bit more than others. Or you can just go to a gym for $10 a month and do your own thing. Or you can take classes. I take yoga classes. I do Pilates. I do Zumba. I love Zumba. I've lost so much weight doing Zumba. But you have to keep yourself motivated. You have to keep yourself active. And as you see with President Trump, he is extremely active. He's always walking around. He's got so much energy. He's got more energy than so many people that I know. And he looks phenomenal for someone his age. He is I would say, the best looking 78-year-old man I've ever seen in my life. He doesn't look his age at all. He could totally pass for 60s, maybe even late 50s. He looks that good. And it is because he's keeping himself. And my mother always said, the thinner you are, the younger you look and the taller you appear. Now I'm 5'6". I laugh at myself. I always say how short I am. I wear 5 to 6 to 7-inch heels because I'm the shortest in my immediate family. My mother's 5'8", my sister's 5'8", my dad is 6.5 feet, but I'm 5'6". My brother-in-law is 6'3", and I just feel so short. And I know, and I have 2 nieces and a nephew, and they're going to be taller than me. I know that. But when I lose weight, I don't look like I'm 5'6" anymore. I look like I'm 5'7", 5'8" without wearing heels, and I wear heels a lot. So it does make a difference. What you put in your body also determines your energy level as well. If you're eating a lot of sugar, a lot of carbs, that's going to actually kill your energy. I notice if I'm eating like a lot of crackers, or if I'm even just eating bread, and I really don't eat bread, it's very rare that I eat bread. I may eat bread at a restaurant, and table bread is the worst. That's where the pounds come on. But if I do eat bread, I notice like within a couple hours, I'm falling asleep, and it's not good. But if you eat stuff with a lot of energy, fish, chicken, even a filet mignon, vegetables, stuff with high protein, tofu. Tofu is really good. It's high in protein. That will give you energy. And if you want to have something sweet, I would recommend not eating milk chocolate. I would recommend eating dark chocolate. Dark chocolate is very low calorie, low carb. And actually the higher the percentage of the cacao, the better it is for you. Like if you have 70% cacao, 80%, sometimes it can be like, it could taste very bitter, but it's very low calorie. And again, you get the energy. If you're going to have alcohol, try not to drink wine, try not to drink beer. That has a lot of carbs, a lot of sugar. It's going to bloat you. They say on diets, you can drink gin and tonic because it's very low calorie, and you can have a shot of tequila. Tequila is only 16 calories. So these are just little things, if people are trying to lose weight, if people have lost weight, congratulations to you. Please tell me your success story. Because like I said, I'm still trying to lose weight. And especially it's hard for women. It's really hard, for women to lose weight, especially as they get older. And then after they have children, sometimes it's even harder. The trick is you want to try to work out while you're pregnant. So after you have that baby, it's just easier to get back into your original figure because you've already been exercising while you're pregnant. But again, if you are in your 30s, 40s, and 50s, for a woman, regardless if you've had children or not, it can be very hard to lose weight. Same thing with men in their 50s and 60s. It becomes harder as you get older. And if you have health problems, diabetes, thyroid issues, etc., it takes a toll, and sometimes it's harder for you to lose weight as well. But I say to myself, if President Trump can do it, anybody can do it. And President Trump was never obese. President Trump was never 300 pounds, 400 pounds. He wasn't morbidly obese. I never considered him a heavy set guy. He always had a nice figure to me because he's tall. He always kept himself, as you know. He's got custom made suits specially tailored for himself. His hair always looks immaculate. His face always looks good. Whoever does his makeup does a great job. And he just keeps himself. And when a person keeps themselves, they look good to the outside world. And again, he's the president of the United States. He's the commander in chief. He's got to look up the part. He's got to look good for we the people, because when he steps outside, that's how he represents himself. And I was very fortunate that I had an opera teacher that educated me on that. He said, Alexandra, when you go out to society, you have to look your best because you never know who's going to be out there. You could have an agent at your grocery store or at the nail salon or a manager just walking his dog at the park. You should make sure you have makeup on, that your hair is freshly put together, that you wear a nice outfit. It doesn't have to be a couture gown, but he told me to always wear like a nice silk top with a nice pair of jeans and nice pairs of shoes. And don't go out looking disheveled with wrinkled clothing and stains on your clothes and holes in your jeans. Because as a singer, as an entertainer, I'm representing myself. It's the same thing when you go on a date. You only get one chance to make a first impression. When you go on that date, you want to look good for the man or the woman that you're trying to impress. when you go on a first date and you're wearing disheveled or ripped jeans or wrinkled shirts, that's the thing that your date remembers. They don't remember you had a great personality or whatever. They remember, oh my God, you dressed like crap, or she dressed like crap. It's all about the image. It's about perception. So I thought it was very cute and very interesting that video of President Trump walking to the White House, and he looked really good, or he might have been walking to Marine One, but he was walking in the grass, and you could see he was very svelte. I can tell he's lost a lot of weight because I've seen him throughout the years. And that video got 7.1 million plus hits. Just on that video alone, just of him walking, got 7.1 plus million hits. So, if you guys are looking for hits, looking for followers, I mean, I always like and subscribe, but hey, next time I walk out, I'm going to walk out on a lawn and I'm going to look darn good. And you're going to see the difference between what I look like today and what I look like 3 weeks from now. Because like I said, I'm in the process of losing those extra 10 pounds. You'll see it. Even when a woman loses 5 pounds, you see a difference. But he has been my inspiration. RFK Jr. has been my inspiration to lose weight. And, that video of him just shows that I'm so happy that he's in the White House again. And again, it shows the strength of the man. It shows the beauty of the man. It shows how the man takes pride in himself. When you take pride in yourself, you are successful in life. Coming back after the break, we have a great segment. We're talking about the FAA and what's been going on over there in that department. And we'll be back right after the break.
Do you have old home videotapes that you're no longer able to watch? Need them transferred to DVD, Blu-ray, or your smart device? Baltimore Digital offers professional-grade VHS, mini DV, and high 8 digitizing services. We can also convert Super 8mm film too. Baltimore Digital also provides photo restoration services. Visit archive.baltimoredigital.net. Mention code Alexandra for a 10% introduction.
Hello, everyone. We're back. It's me, Alexandra Levine. This is Alexandra Levine Live with the America's Pulse Network. So turning to our next segment, talking about the FAA. As you know, President Trump did a lot of cuts. He cut the chief of the FAA. He cut a lot of people from FAA. You know why? Because a lot of the people that work for the FAA were DEI hires and incompetent people. And we're seeing it now. That all of a sudden there's been crashes and planes going into houses and planes almost colliding with each other. The Black Hawk helicopter collided into a commercial airliner. What the heck is going on? Now, people tell me there's plane crashes all the time, car crashes all the time, but they're happening too often, in my opinion. I feel like they're happening every day, every other day, every week. And a lot of people are starting to feel that this is happening on purpose, not by accident, which is disgusting if it is happening on purpose. It's like they're doing this to combat President Trump's executive order. And breaking, this is our first slide of the segment. A small plane crashed into a Minnesota house. And this was Saturday afternoon, engulfing in flames. Now, we don't know if people were in that house, if they died. And some people said, was it close to where Tim Walz lives? I hope it was close to where Tim Walz lives. No, don't say that. That's not cool. But what the heck is going on? What the heck is going on? You're on a plane and all of a sudden you're hoping that you get to your destination. All of a sudden it crashes into a home or crashes into a helicopter, crashes into another plane. What the heck is going on? And we have breaking. This is slide 2. Breaking. Some pilots are afraid to take a bathroom break for fear that their unqualified co-pilot might crash the plane due to DEI hiring, eroding safety standards so much, veteran airline captain Sherry Walker says. Can you believe that? The pilots are afraid to go to the bathroom because they're afraid that their co-pilots don't know what the hell they're doing and they're DEI hires. So the pilot doesn't feel confident that their co-pilot can take over. So what are you supposed to do when you're the pilot? You got to pee. Do you pee in a cup? A lot of pilots, they put themselves on autopilot and they have their autopilot take over. Is that even safe? It reminds me of that movie Airplane, where they had like the blow up autopilot that would take over while the two pilots were going to the bathroom or doing whatever. Is that what we've come to? Our own pilots are concerned that their co-pilot doesn't know what the hell they're doing, that the pilots are not either, they're not trained well enough, they don't have the merit base to fly a plane. Again, what did I say in my first segment? President Trump wants people to be hired based on merit, not based on the color of their skin. And a lot of people are saying that these were DEI hires that are causing the crashes. Remember, the FAA chief of aviation, the guy who was sworn in, or the guy that was confirmed, by it was Senate Democrats at the time under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, he didn't know the first thing about airplanes. He never flew a plane in his life. But now the guy that President Trump nominated, he has extensive experience in planes. He's flown a plane before. He knows everything about planes. And hopefully, God willing, he'll be confirmed. I think he will. But what the heck? What the heck? If you don't know what the heck you're doing, you don't fly a plane. If you don't know what the heck you're doing, you don't become the chief of aviation. This is insane. This is insane. That the pilot is nervous of taking a bathroom break for fear that his co-pilot or her co-pilot will screw everything up and kill the people on the plane. And again, because of DEI hiring. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And we go to the next slide. Elon Musk said, as it should be, towards the American flag, libs of TikTok, which follow my program, said the DOD, that's Department of Defense, under Pete Hegseth, will be merit-based and color-blind. That means they're not going to hire based on the color of your skin. You will be judged based on how good you are at your job. Full stop, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. Boom. That's it. Plain and simple. You will be hired based on merit, not the color of your skin. Do not come in and say, well, I'm black, I deserve the job. Or I'm white, I deserve the job. Or I'm Jewish, I deserve the job. Or I'm Asian, I deserve the job. No! They're going to take a look at your resume. They're going to take a look at your portfolio, and they'll decide. I encourage any of my friends that got fired or they didn't get a job because of woke culture, DEI hiring, go back to those same places. Go back to those same institutions that didn't hire you. Let's see if they'll hire you now. They're supposed to. If you have the credentials and the merit, you go for it. You don't back down. I was in retail half my life before I became an opera singer. And I lived in New York. And I remember the managers told me, good luck trying to get a job working at Estee Lauder. You'd be the only white girl working at the counter. And they're brutal down there. And they're going to make sure that you don't get your commissions because you're white. I was told that verbatim. Now, the managers were white, and the employees of color resented that. So they said, and they told me that. They said, we're white, and the employees resent the fact that we're white because we're their boss. So you go down there as a white girl, and you're going to work under them, and you think they're going to be fair and balanced? You think they're going to help you out? No. They said there's an Asian girl that works down there. Her commissions are stolen from her every time she works by the people of color that are working in that counter. And you can't do anything about it. Once they make the transaction, once somebody else takes your sale, that's it. You can't say, oh my God, you took my sale in front of a customer. It's unprofessional. But that's how it was. And this was years ago. And it happens in liberal cities and liberal states all over this nation. Again, that's why I call for the suing of the state of Maryland, the charge of the Governor Westmore, the charge of Attorney General Anthony Brown, the charge of the Baltimore City Mayor Brandon Scott. They call themselves DEI hires. They should be removed from office. I know Westmore wants to run for president of the United States. He's the up-and-coming DEI hire. And Obama 3.0, he'd be. He's backed and supported by George Soros and Oprah Winfrey. He's a disgrace. Brandon Scott is also endorsed by the same damn people. They feel because they're black, they're entitled. It's an entitlement. President Trump's administration have had enough of entitlement. They've had enough of that. And so have we, the people. That's why we voted for President Trump and we didn't vote for Kamala Harris. I had so many women say to me when Hillary was running for president, they said, you have to vote for Hillary. She's a woman. As a woman, you should vote for a woman. I said, excuse me? No, I'm not voting for someone based on her gender. Just because I'm a woman and she's a woman, that doesn't mean I have to vote for her. If she was Jewish, I'm not voting for her because she's Jewish. I'm voting for her, or I'm voting for that person based on merit, based on their skills, based on if they feel that they will represent me properly. I voted for President Trump 3 times. I would do it again in a heartbeat because he resonated with me. Hillary Clinton did not. Kamala Harris did not. And there was a lot of Jewish congressmen that ran in my district and Jewish state senators. I didn't vote for them because they didn't resonate with me. It has nothing to do with religion and gender when you are voting. That's division. That's segregation. That's discrimination. You're discriminating against President Trump because he's a white guy. But that went on in 2016 or 2015, I should say. People told me you have to vote for Hillary Clinton because she's a woman. You have to support same gender that you are. Women supporting women. I'm not against women supporting women. I'm all about supporting women. But it depends on the woman. Depends on what I'm supporting. Why would I support a woman that wants to raise your taxes? Why would I support a woman that believes in late-term abortion? Why would I support a woman that applauds anti-Semitism, that supports pro-Hamas terrorists and pro-Hamas rallies? Why would I support anyone that doesn't want us to be energy independent? And why would I support a woman that loves America being ripped off and giving power to China and wanting to cause a nuclear war and a war with North Korea and keeping us in wars for years and years and years and years and years? That doesn't resonate with me. Why would anybody want to vote for that? Why would I want to vote for a woman, Kamala Harris, that wanted to put us in a deep, deep depression? And under her, inflation was high. And under her, we had massive illegal immigrants coming into this country, massive illegal criminals, illegal terrorists coming into this country. We have a lot of them here. Thank God that Thomas Homan is the real border czar in there. Thank God that Kristi Noem is DHS secretary, because Alexandra Mayorkas, who's Jewish, by the way, the former DHS secretary, hashtag not my Jew, hashtag never Jew, didn't resonate with me. Not at all. Not at all. Merrick Garland, he's Jewish. He was the former attorney general. His son was the one that pushed the gender identity curriculum crap, pushed those books like Genderqueer and many other books that had explicit pictures of boys doing stuff to boys, boys giving fellatio to boys, incest between a mother and her son, a father and his daughter, and explicit pictures of rape. That doesn't resonate with me. Or former Secretary of State Anthony Blinken, another Jew, or excuse me, another Jewish person, another Jewish man, who was okay with the pro-Hamas rallies taking place, who was okay when pro-Hamas people called for the genocide of Jews, which went against the Student Code of Conduct at Columbia University and Johns Hopkins and NIT and UPenn at and at NYU and so forth, and at Harvard University. Anthony Blinken was okay with that and calling for a ceasefire, calling for Israel to back down, calling for Israel to give in to Hamas. That doesn't resonate with me. I don't support terrorists and I don't support terrorism. Or Joe Biden, who allows the Taliban to rise and ISIS to rise and MS-13 gang members to rise, and allows innocent Americans to be murdered by the hands of illegals. That does not resonate with me. Kamala Harris, a woman, allowed that too. Kamala Harris allowed these illegal terrorists to come in and kill innocent Americans. Remember, she was called the border czar. Disgusting. Very disgusting. Again, I would never vote for that. I didn't vote for that then. I won't vote for that now. And when I hire people in my businesses, I don't hire people based on the color of their skin or their gender. I hire people based on merit, based on if they can do the job, based on how long they've had their license or their degrees. I do trainings for young people that just get their insurance licenses. And I also hire people that have been in the insurance industry for a long time. In my political consulting firm, I keep a very small consulting firm because I only have people that I can trust involved. It has to be people that resonate with my values, but also the people that I hire are skilled at what they do. I have a phenomenal videographer and photographer who's been doing it for more than half his life. I have a data analyst that I work with. He's been doing data analyses and he's been a data scientist for 20 years. And I have a financial advisor who I've known very well, who's the treasurer of my consulting firm. Someone that I trust with my life. And I hired these people not because they were men, not because one was Christian, not because one was this, one was that. I hired them based on their skills and based on merit. And I will hire anyone else based on that as well. I would hire a woman too, based on merit, not just because she's a woman or she's Black or she's Asian or Jewish or Christian, but based on merit. And that's what the Trump administration is all about. Final slide, breaking news. President Trump establishes a task force to make Washington, D.C. safe and prosperous. D.C. is the only city that belongs to all Americans. As the capital city of the greatest nation in the history of the world, it should showcase beautiful, clean, and safe public spaces. And I completely agree with him 100%. Mayor Bowser, the mayor of D.C., has led D.C. just down to the gutter. It's so dirty there. And I know that President Trump, throughout the campaign trail, when he came to D.C. and Maryland, he was like, oh my God. He's like, when I left D.C., it was beautiful. Now it's crap. And there's a lot of crime in D.C., a lot of crime. And President Trump is weeding out the crime. He's going to make D.C. safe because I'll be honest with you, as a young woman, I can't walk down the streets of D.C. safely. Sometimes in the daytime, I'm nervous. There's a lot of pro-Hamas protests happening in the daytime, but from noon to 6 o'clock. And as you notice now, it's getting darker later. So that means at 8 o'clock at night, these protesters are still out there outside the White House. And they hurt innocent Americans such as myself. As a single young woman, I would never ride the metro. It's very unsafe. As a single young woman, I would never, again, walk down the streets of DC alone without a guy with me or without some type of protection next to me. It's not cool that we have to worry about these things. Again, President Trump and his team are doing everything they can to keep DC safe, to keep the country safe. I'm so happy that he's implementing this task force because DC used to be great. I used to come down with my grandparents all the time. I used to go to the Jefferson Memorial, the Washington Memorial, the Lincoln Memorial, different hours of the day. Now you can't. You have to worry that a bunch of idiots are going to come and protest you, or they're going to stick a stake in your eye because they have a Palestinian flag up here with a stake at the end. That's what's been happening in DC. I see it. But Mayor Bowser really needs to listen to President Trump. She's up the ante on the security, but also she needs to learn again how to keep DC safe, because we have a lot of tourists that come to DC, especially during 4th of July, and she's losing the tourists because DC is unsafe. I don't really go to events in DC anymore unless I'm going with a big group of people. I don't personally make events in DC. You know, everyone told me, why don't you do rallies in DC for Israel and rallies here and rallies there, right in the heart of DC. I did one rally in DC in Capitol Hill for Jexit, and it was great. I mean, we were in the middle of the park. We were right by the halls of Congress. We had tons of security around us. But that was years ago. That was in 2019. It's very different now. This was when President Trump was in power. After President Trump left, it got really bad. I don't personally do events down in DC because of the high crime and because you never know who's coming out of the woodwork. I mostly do events in Frederick City, Frederick County. I do it at Baker Park, very safe area. We have tons of security. I've done events at the Bender JCC in Montgomery County, Maryland. I've done events at theaters, events at amphitheaters. I did an event in Pennsylvania in a park where it was very safe. I know where to pick my spots. But DC needs to get better. DC needs to get a lot better because they're losing the tourists. They're losing the beauty of DC because it's getting lost because of the trash that's around there. Union Station needs to be cleaned up. There's a bunch of homeless people at Union Station, vandalism, graffiti. It's disgusting. Or Union Square, excuse me. I said Union Station. Union Station, Union Square, it's all the same. But there's so much history in DC. That's why people come to DC, for the history. I drive down right through the monuments and I take pictures when I'm in traffic. And I say, wow, look at this history right in front of me. There's certain parts of DC you cannot drive to for fear of being attacked. You cannot leave your car out on the street. It'll get carjacked. I have a beautiful big SUV. I would never leave it on the streets. It would get carjacked. It would get keyed. Tires would be blown out. God knows what. Windows would be broken. I shouldn't have to worry. But until DC gets better, until the mayor of DC starts listening to President Trump, it's going to be a long time before I go down there by myself. But it's going to be a long time for we the people to go down there and do rallies and do events. We want not just DC to be safe, but we want the entire nation to be safe. Thank God again that President Trump is in the White House because we know that he will keep us safe. Coming back right after the break, we're going to talk about a very, very prominent anti-Jewish group, pro-Hamas group called Jewish Voices for Peace. We're going to get into that. And again, like I said, we're talking about the crime in DC. It feeds right into that in our next segment, and that is coming up right after the break.
Hi, I'm Alexandra Levine. I'm a professional opera singer, actress, TV, and radio personality. Since 2015, I've been a volunteer, a field director, and a campaign manager, learning the ins and outs of the political world. That's why I became a political consultant. My job is to lead you to victory with organization, structure, and the mindset of winning for your district or state. With my guidance and direction, I can keep you focused on the things that matter to the people and advise you on key issues that need to be addressed. If you're a serious candidate that is serious about winning, then book a consultation with me today. Go to levineconsulting.co. You'll be happy you did.